The New York Jets just wasted one of the gutsiest performances from a quarterback since Matthew Stafford dislocating his shoulder, not caring, coming back and still winning that game for the Detroit Lions.
Inside, and a beauty! Hall running free! Brees Hall inside the 10! He's gonna score!
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo. A quick announcement before we get into this absolutely sickening game. If you were wondering where I've been for the last week, a couple of things happened. One, I got really, really sick. And just really couldn't talk, couldn't think, couldn't eat, couldn't breathe. And so it was one of those things where I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I take care of the baby all day. And so staying with the baby, and when my wife got home, the only thing I wanted to do was sleep. So I was in bed, KO'd for the night at 6 p.m. So I wasn't doing any live streams. I wasn't doing any video. I wasn't doing anything. And then you put that on top of the fact that this was finals week for me. I went back to school after my son was born because I went to the Navy right out of high school and all of that stuff. So it's just been a really, really stressful, mental health and just regular health week for me. But I know that these other YouTube content creators, specifically Jets ones, kept you guys entertained throughout the week so you didn't have to miss out. But we're back. I'm feeling a little bit better. I can actually talk and stay awake, and I have some energy after spending the whole day trying to keep up with a 6-month-old. But we're back. Let's talk about this game. Absolutely sickening. I mentioned it on the top. The New York Jets absolutely wasted one of the better performances from a quarterback when the reality of the situation is that Mike White probably has a couple of broken ribs. I'm not sitting here going to tell you that he there's a good to fair chance he does not play next week, and not because of the fact that he played bad this game, because I don't think he did. Just literally because I think he has a couple of broken ribs. I just honestly think that. And I think the first thing that I'm going to have to say is it's going to have to be a massive, massive criticism on Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur for not dressing Zach. I'm not saying that I wanted Zach to start. Don't, that's not what I'm saying. But for those 3 snaps that Flacco was out there, they were just... There's no situation in which Flacco should be going under center for this football team ever. Now, I'm not saying that Zach is better than Mike White. He absolutely hasn't been this year. But you're telling me that you can't have some QB-designed runs, some escapability, something going on with Zach Wilson under center? We probably don't get that strip sack and give the ball back to them. There's so many things that could have gone in a different direction, if Joe Flacco's not under center. So not dressing Zach is an absolute mismanagement of assets. And then we're going to have to talk about this offensive line being absolutely abysmal. When we look at sacks given up by this offensive line, it's 4 sacks. It's a pretty bad day at the office. By any standard, we lost 36 yards to those, 4 sacks, and they got a strip fumble on the sack there. But I think that the biggest telling of the game was the Buffalo Bills had 8 quarterback hits, and they were just lighting up Mike White. And Mike White was playing through pain, and he was doing all of the things that he tried everything in his power to carry this team and to will this team into existence and will this team into a victory. And stupid mistakes by players that legitimately cost us the game. It's unacceptable. The New York Jets had 7 penalties that resulted in 61 yards of movement. That's unacceptable. 2 fumbles. Michael Carter, I don't know what is going on with Michael Carter, but Michael Carter has been a bad football player this year. I am not saying that he is a bad football player, but this year he has not played well at all. There is a real, and I don't see the argument for it not being this way, that next year Michael Carter should probably be running back 3. That right now, our 1-2 two-headed monster in the running back room is not Brees and Michael. It is Brees and Bam. And like, that's a serious thought that you have to have. Like, there's that. And then obviously that killer penalty by CJ Mosley. It's one of those plays where if CJ times that out right and he jumps over and he stops stops Dawson Knox, we're all talking about CJ Mosley being one of the smartest players on defense. And oh my gosh, he timed the cadence perfectly and he went over the top, and absolutely brutal penalty. Gave them all of the momentum swing. And then the Michael Carter fumble at the end. Michael Carter had 5 carries for 5 yards. Just unacceptable. Let's talk about some positives in today's game. Mike White, obviously, I think he threw for 270 yards, give or take. It's somewhere around there. I know that he threw the ball for 27 times. I'm sorry, he threw the ball 44 times and he completed 27 of his passes. That's a 61% completion percentage. But when you take into consideration the last 4 plays where he is just ripping the ball to just rip the ball for, like you're playing as if you don't have a play, right? If we take away those last 4 plays where he's just throwing to throw to try to get something going and the balls are being dropped, he actually had a 67 and a half completion percentage, which is more than acceptable from our quarterback. He got sacked 3 times. Obviously, we know he got hit 8 times. But man, Mike White is my quarterback. I am sold on Mike White. The ability that he showed and the accuracy and what he was doing this game, but not just that, the sitting there through the injury to play with, and I'm telling you, it's going to come out in either a couple of hours or in a couple of days that he has broken ribs, is absolutely insane. And the big thing for me is obviously Garrett Wilson, 6 catches on 7 targets, 78 yards, 13 yards per catch on average. It's fantastic when you look at that. He now holds the rookie receiving record, and there are still 4 games left. There is a good to fair chance that he is going to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year, which is phenomenal for the New York Jets. The last time we had that was Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker back in, I think it was 2016, 2015? I don't remember, but absolutely phenomenal from Garrett Wilson, over 800 receiving yards at this point in time. And then I also want to talk about the fact that there's a couple of players that I think that it might be time for the New York Jets to stop using as such a big part of their offense. And I think one of those guys is Corey Davis. Now, I know that Corey Davis obviously went down with an injury, and that's unfortunate. And I hope that he recovers well, but I think it's time to admit that Corey Davis might not be that we might need another wide receiver for this football team. Denzel Mims is still catching balls in his body. The way that Corey Davis is playing and the fact that he's a guaranteed penalty almost every single game doesn't seem worth keeping his contract on. Braxton Berrios, I don't know what's going on with the kid, what's going on in his head or anything like that, but he used to be such a you know what, we have a big play, we have a big move that we've got to do. Braxton is the guy I want the ball going to. It's not like that anymore. And so a team that I felt was really, really strong at receiver going into next year, now I'm honestly starting to look at, is there a second round wide receiver that the New York Jets might want to target? Because right now the only people I feel comfortable with are Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore, 10 targets today. I love that we got him way, way more involved. 6 catches for 60 yards. Absolutely phenomenal. Denzel Mims had himself a pretty good day, 3 of 5, but again, with the body catches, man, this is your 3rd year in the league and you're not using your hands to catch the ball. You are huge and strong. Use your hands. Catch the ball with your hands. Just unacceptable, it's just not the way that you do it. We had 3 fumbles this game, and luckily CJ Uzomah caught one, but that's just unacceptable. But then let's talk about the defense. I think the defense did an exceptional job to hold this Buffalo offense to 20 points, which is exactly what we need to do, right? As long as the offense can score, I tell people this, that My gauge for a game that is lost by the offense and not by the defense is if we can hold the team to under 20 points. And that's what the New York Jets defense did. Yeah, we had a couple of big penalties like the CJ Mosley one, but overall, CJ Mosley had himself a fantastic day, tackling out of his mind, 7 solo tackles, led the team when it came in solo tackles, but also in total tackles with 9 and a pass breakup to save the drive and a tackle to save the drive there to get the Jets one more opportunity at the ball. Absolutely fantastic. Then we look at the corners and all of that stuff. Sauce with another pass breakup, 4 solo tackles today. Fantastic. I love that play. We saw Sauce crossing the field to go get the guy. Absolutely fantastic. But I think the biggest thing that we got to look at it is that the number one receiver for the Buffalo Bills was Dawson Knox with 4 catches for 41 yards. Not a single receiver for Buffalo had over 50 yards. Dawson Knox was 4 of 41. Stephon Diggs was 4 for 41 on 7 targets for Dawson Knox. Stephon Diggs was 3 of 5 for 37 yards. And here's the craziest part. All of that yardage came on one play, that 32-yard pass that he had. You take that away, Stephon Diggs got eaten alive. Gabe Davis, 3 of 31. Isaiah McKenzie, 3 of 21. James Cook, 1 of 9. They could not get the ball going in the air. And then they couldn't rush the ball either. Josh Allen carried the ball 10 times for 47 yards. He was relatively good. We know that that's where the Jets struggle. But Devin Singletary, 8 carries for 39 yards. Isaiah McKenzie, 1 for 7. James Cook, 4 for 6. Nyheim Hines, 1 of 3. They weren't getting the job done rushing the ball. We held this Buffalo Bills total offense, when we look at their yardage and all of that stuff, to under 250 yards, 232 total yards, and we were able to amass 309 yards. We also won the time of possession battle. The New York Jets had the ball for 34 minutes and 25 seconds to Buffalo's 25 and 35. We did everything that we could to win that game, and honestly, it came down to 3 really, really, really dumb mistakes, in my opinion. The Michael Carter fumble, the fact that Joe Flacco suited up at all, and the fact that the CJ Mosley penalty. That's really it, in my opinion. The offensive line obviously wasn't good enough and all of that stuff, but even with one of the worst performances that we've seen from this offensive line, we were still able to get things going on offense. And Greg Zuerlein, 100% today, 1 field goal, 1 extra point. He did his job, but I think I'm ready to give up on Braden Mann. It's time for us to go find a different punter. It's time for us to go do something there, because Braden Mann is not the answer. I'm just absolutely sickened by this loss, because the reality is, in my opinion, the New York Jets just lost out on the playoffs. That's how I look at it now. The Lions aren't an easy game at any point in time at this point. The Lions just beat the Vikings. We've got a tough 4 games coming up against us. Jacksonville just beat Tennessee. I think we just lost out on the playoffs with this loss, and that absolutely, that I'm just sickened, man. That's just the reality of it. I just don't know. I'm just so deflated. Guys, let me know in the comment section below what you think. And last but not least, go Jets.